Is the GOATS era finally coming to an end? Today we are going to try to answer to this question. Of course, it's not going to be easy, and probably there is never going to be an answer before we wait at least for some other years in order to see how Djokovic and Nadal will perform in the next years on Grand Slams. In the last 20 years, all the tennis fans have been used to see three players dominating. The first one, the one who dominated in the 2000s, early mid 2000s, and even late Rafa started to dominate more, but I think that Rafa didn't properly dominate him alone for a specific amount of time. Of course, there were some years where he was the best player in the world, undoubtedly, but differently than Roger and Novak, who I think dominated the tour for some years. Rafa, I think, didn't dominate, didn't have a dominant period as the Serb and the Swiss. So Federer dominated. Federer was the first one to dominate. Of course, he's the oldest one. He's 41. Rafa is 36, and Novak is 35. I say it all of the times. I believe that Federer is 1 year prior than Novak and Rafa. That's just my opinion. I think that he is 1 year prior. He's a guy of he's the guy in the middle of the Djokovic and Nadal era and the Sampras Agassi era. He's in the Roddick Hewitt era. Those guys were born in the same years of him. But the fact that his career was so long, his longevity was incredible, probably made a lot of fans believe that he was in Djokovic, Nadal, Murray era, but I believe that he wasn't, that he isn't, and that he wasn't not, because he's already retired, specifically in Djokovic and Nadal era. But of course, we have to consider them rivals without a doubt, because they played a lot of times. You know, Djokovic and Nadal Djokovic and Federer matchup happened 50 times, and Federer 40. So these two are some of the best rivalries of all time. Also with the Djokovic and Nadal battle, which was on a tennis court for 59 times. We can say it in this way. I know my English is average, but we have to improve. It's average for a natural speaker, because I believe they speak, I can say, pretty well. If we consider that I'm a foreign person from Italy, not from England or USA, I don't speak English perfectly, but I am at a good level, I think. I am on the good road in order to be better. We can say it in this way. In the last period of time, we've seen Djokovic and Nadal struggling with, not Djokovic especially, but also Djokovic in the last month, in the last tournaments, Monte Carlo and also Banja Luka, where in Monte Carlo lost in the round of 16 against Lorenzo Musetti. He was leading 1 set and 1 break up, and then Musetti started to play better, of course, but even in the first set and a half where he was leading, it didn't look like Djokovic was in the mood. I will be honest, I think that Djokovic played bad from the start in that match, but in the first set he was able to play because Musetti played even worse. Talking about Musetti, is a spectacular player, but he's not as efficient as other guys, I will be honest. And Rafa Nadal is the one who struggled the most and for the most time, because if Djokovic won the Australian Open this year, and he won the Australian Open, until Dubai he seemed to be unbeatable or so, because he won Adelaide, he won the Australian Open, and then he lost in the semi-finals of Dubai against Medvedev. Then he also had 1 month without playing tennis in March because of the COVID restrictions for people who aren't vaccinated that couldn't enter and still can't enter the USA country, the USA territory, without being fully vaccinated, if I'm not mistaken. This rule, of course, will end, I think, on the 11th of May, if I'm not mistaken, and then Novak will be able to play the US swing. I think that Novak and probably is going to be able to play the US swing, and that's a very, very good news for all of the tennis fans around the world. And I'm also happy because Novak, if Novak plays the tournament, because he's the best player in the world, he's the best player in the world. So if he's missing a big piece of a tournament is missing. So yeah, that's a fact. So I hope that he plays. Honestly, I hope that he plays, and I think that he's actually going to play the US swing, and he's going to play in US after 2021, so after 2 years approximately. And Djokovic is struggling with an elbow injury. We've seen him struggling with an elbow injury in Banja Luka and in Monte Carlo. Probably should have not even played in Banja Luka in order to rest for the bigger tournaments, for the biggest tournaments such as the Masters 1000 and the Grand Slams. He decided to miss. He withdrew from Madrid. Actually, I think it was the right decision from Novak because, first of all, he's struggling with injury, and Madrid is not a tournament that is that useful in order to prepare for Roland Garros. Of course, is useful, but what I want to say is that Rome is more important. Monte Carlo is more important. Rome is more important and Monte Carlo are more important because those two tournaments have more similar conditions of the French Open. So they look like, in terms of condition, they look like the French Open. So in Roland Garros, the card is low, also the circumstances you play in are slower than in Madrid. Madrid is a strange clay. It's more, I don't want to say that it's like US clay, but it's more similar to US clay than the other European Masters 1000 play don't play. So for a player that wants to win the French Open, that whose only goal is to win the French Open, Novak, I think that Djokovic doesn't care a lot about winning Masters 1000 anymore because he already holds the record, and I don't think that Nadal has the ability to surpass him anymore, again. I think that Djokovic will focus on Roland Garros, as he said. His goal is to win it, and he wants to rest in order to be in the best shape possible for Rome and Roland Garros, that are the two main tournaments for Djokovic on the clay season. In Rome, he won 6 times. He's the defending champion. He reached the last 3 finals. He won 2 of the 3 finals that he played in the last 3 years. He won in 2020 against Diego Schwartzman in straight set. He won in 2020. He lost in 2021 in 3 sets against Rafa Nadal after giving a tough fight to the King of Clay. He tried to dethrone him, something that he did eventually in the French Open. And last year he won against Stefanos Tsitsipas by battling him also in the first set. So yes, I think that Novak's goal is to be ready for the French Open. On the other side, I think that Rafa is struggling even more, I will be honest. Rafa is struggling a lot with injuries, with form. In the last 8-9 months since Wimbledon 2022, he wasn't able to play at his best. As of today, we can consider Wimbledon as his last high-level tournament, because after Wimbledon he played in Cincinnati, where he lost in first round, out of shape, still struggling a little bit with the abdominal tear that he had and that prevent him from playing the semifinals. In Wimbledon, he had a 7mm abdominal tear, which left him out from the tour until Cincinnati. In Cincinnati played, he lost in the first round against Borna Coric, and it was at the end, it wasn't even a bad loss because no one was able to win against Coric in Cincinnati. Because at the end he won the tournament, and Rafa was the only one who was able to take a set off from him. So at the end, it wasn't even that bad loss, I think, from Rafa, I believe, by seeing the results. Of course, at the first rounds, Coric wasn't playing at his best. Then he played at his best. And so we can see that to take a set from Coric in the second round was easier than to take a set off from Coric in the quarters or the semis. But still, he arrived to US Open with not a lot of matches on his legs, so he was the favorite with Medvedev probably and Alcaraz, but he wasn't in his best shape. He lost in the fourth round after winning comfortably against Hijikata. Even if he lost the first set, he was playing at his 60% in the first set. Then he played a little bit better, and Hijikata couldn't hold the rhythm, of course, of playing against a goat like Rafa. And then on the second round, it was the biggest and the scariest match for Nadal's attempt for the US Open title, before, of course, the loss. because he lost the fourth set and he was down in the second set. Fognini seemed to be dominating. Then he came back, eventually won the second set, and after that, the momentum of the match shifted completely on Rafa's side, and he was able to win the third set and the fourth set pretty comfortably. The third round was his best performance because first of all, he played 2 matches before the third round, and I think that it helped him a lot. But the other reason why Rafa played better in the third round and in the first and second one, it was because he was playing against the perfect opponents for him. As we know, I think Rafa plays mostly with righty players, not with lefties, and most of them can't hold his incredible forehand, his incredible banana forehand with a lot of topspin that bounces incredibly high. And especially this thing, you see this with 100 backhands, 100 struggle a lot against Rafa. So we saw it with Federer, who is the biggest rivalry of Nadal, including with Djokovic, and he was struggling a lot in the earliest years to be able to win rallies on that part of the court. When Rafa played this forehand on the left side and Roger played this backhand on the right side. Not both, only Roger. I'm talking all about Roger. Roger was struggling a lot, and he managed to win a lot of matches in the latest year of his career against Rafa because his backhand got better. We know about the neo backhand, who is the neo version of Federer's backhand, which was deadly. And then he played also in Bercy. He lost against Tiafoe in the first round, where he didn't play his best, and Tiafoe played very well. So he met the first we can call him the first very big opponent, the first threat for Rafa's fifth US Open title attempt, and he lost against him. So it was worrying because for me especially, I did a video about it in Italian. In the first set, I saw Rafa was up 3 games to 1 and a break up. I never seen Nadal losing in that way, and he lost the last 5 games of the match. It seemed to be, it looked like he had, I don't know, he had some problems there mentally. I don't know, he didn't hold. And that was really strange to see, honestly. That was really strange, and I was really shocked by it. I also did a video about it. Then he played in Bercy, but he wasn't there physically a lot. He played bad in the third set against Tommy Paul. Then he played 3 matches in the finals, and he won. Only one of them against Ruud, but Ruud, I think he was too passive. He could have easily won that. I don't want to be rude towards Rafa, but that's just my idea. So I talked about the Jodal, we can call them in this way, struggling with form. And now talking about the next gens, we've always had these jokes of Rafa Novak, especially. The next gens in Rome in 2021. I remember Novak saying that him, Rafa, and Roger were the next gens, and even Mr. Pietrangeli, guys, I'm struggling with my pronunciation, but I will keep going to do my best. So he said that he was the next gen. Him, Roger, Rafa were the next gens because the world was asking them the next gens, and he said rightfully, yes, they are there, but we're still there. So okay, we are still there trying to be the best and trying to win the biggest tournaments, and he was right, because they were the main winners. They were the players that were winning the most and are winning the most in terms of big tournaments, such as Grand Slams. And Novak was right. Even Rafa agreed with that, I think. Even if sometimes he hides something, but I believe that he had the same opinion of Novak. But now there are some new next gens. So before the next gens we were talking about, which are Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev, who aren't that strong. Apart from Medvedev, Tsitsipas and Zverev aren't that strong. Even Thiem isn't that strong anymore. Thiem, I think that he doesn't have any chances to be back at his best. I believe I did a video about that, even if he's playing some quarterfinals, but he's incredibly far away from his best. And so these next gens that now should be the current gens are not playing well. Or Medvedev is playing well, they are good, but they're not incredibly good. They may win one Grand Slam or two, but they won't win 20 like the big threes. On the other side, we have the new next gens, who are, I think, more... they are better, they have more talent. I think that they have more chances to win more. We have Carlos Alcaraz, I think that he's the main star, he's the main player. Right now he's the best player in the world, and aiding and going to the French Open, into the French Open. I think that he's the main favorite as of today. He won Barcelona Open, he's probably going to win also the Madrid Open, and he's probably the favorite for Rome. He will be world number one probably. When he's going to play in Roland Garros, he's going to be the number one seed, Novak is going to be the number two. I think those two are the two main favorites, but I think that we will also have to see how Novak comes back and how Rafa comes back, if he comes back. And I think that heading to Roland Garros, as of today, Alcaraz is the favorite. He's the favorite because he's playing really well. Then we also have Sinner, who played in Monte Carlo, a really great tournament. He is the only player that reached at least the semifinals of every Masters 1000 that he played this year, and of every Masters 1000 that he played. The first three Masters 1000 of the year, he was the only one who reached the semifinals in all of them. So pretty consistent. We can say we can see this about Yannick. Then we also have Rune, who's a really, really exceptional player. So those three are threatening the big three's throne. And it is normal because a change of guard is going to happen soon, I believe. I think that this year is coming to an end. I mean, I think that until last year there still was Rafa Sira. I think that it came to an end this year. And until 2019 there was also Roger's era that came to an end eventually. So now there is only Novak's era, but it is a little bit like it's falling apart also, that one. So I believe that the next gens are finally coming, but the two next gens, not the other one. And it's particular that the tour is dominated by three different generations. It's dominated by the player born in the 2000s, who is Carlos Alcaraz. I'm talking about 2023. And it is dominated by a player born in the 90s, who's Daniil Medvedev, number one in the race. And it is dominated by also by Novak Djokovic in 2023, because he is the only one who won a Grand Slam, and who is a player born in the 80s. So that's a very particular thing, and it won't happen a lot of times in history of tennis, but it is happening right now. So the question of the video was, is the Goetz era finally coming to an end? My answer is yes. I believe that in the French Open, neither Djokovic and neither Nadal are going to win it. I think that Rafa is going to play on the French Open. If he plays the French Open, we saw him struggling a lot. Do you remember about Nishikori and Raonic, two players who aren't playing professional tennis since 2021? They had injuries. I'm scared that the same thing could happen to Rafa, because his ball is very, very old, and it seems difficult for me today as of today that Rafa is going to be able to win more titles and even to play consistently on tour. So the video of today ends. I didn't speak very well, I will be honest with you, but guys, give me your thoughts about this interesting topic, about the question of the video's title. The title of the video is going to be, I think, is the Goats era finally coming to an end? I think this is going to be the title of the video, and there's going to be a really, really interesting thumbnail also. But for today's video is the end, I think. Please leave a comment on the comment section and say to me my errors, criticize me. Don't worry, don't be scared. This verb was wrong, these words are wrong, and give me some suggestions, yes, some advices. Even there I missed some pronunciations. Give me some advices for the next English videos. It's not easy for me to speak English fluently for 20 minutes talking about a topic. Is not easy, but I'm trying my best to do the best I can. So please be patient. I will improve, and in the comment section, leave me your answers to the questions that I was trying to answer myself today. For this video, I think it's the end. Leave a like, leave a comment as I've said, and subscribe to the channel. 200 subscribers before the French Open is the goal, and I will finish the video with how it started. Is the Goats era finally coming to an end? Ciao!